We are light, we are truth, we are divinity, but there are these things that cloud that and hide that, and then we forget who we are.
Welcome to Solar Flare, the channel where I interview people who inspire me, doing something for the betterment and upliftment of the planet, humanity. This is Mark Steinward from One Tribe Healing in Australia, onetribehealing.com.au. How are you going, Mark?
I'm going very well. I've had a little skateboarding accident, so my knee's a bit buggered, but apart from that, I'm good.
And at least you're out there on the board.
My skateboarding days are officially over.
Don't say that too soon.
Oh, soon enough. The last time I skated, I broke my wrist.
Yeah, right.
So I'm back on the board and I really did my knee, so it's definitely done. The universe is telling me and I'm listening.
You can always go for third time lucky. All right. Well, so you suggested opening with calling in the 4 directions. Would you like to take us through that?
Yeah, great. So the 4 directions is just setting a container. There's no right or wrong way to do it. This is just the way that I'm guided to do it. Different people, different traditions, even within traditions, have different elements in different directions. And the main thing that I've found with anything in life, but particularly in the spiritual and shamanic realms, is just your intention. Our intention is to create a beautiful container for us and for anyone who listens to this. So we call upon the spirits of the 4 directions, beginning with the east, the air, home to the wind and all the winged ones. And just feeling that beautiful, gentle breeze just come in and just blow away the morning, the day, the evening, wherever you're at. And feeling this energy of light come in. That might be angels come in, your guides who love you unconditionally, and just really soothing and calming, enlightening, filling your whole being with light. So in the shamanic path, there's a lot of talk about being a hollow bone or a clear channel. And so just perceive and feel that channel's been just beautifully cleared with light and just releasing the day. Thank you, Spirit of the East. We call upon the South, the Earth, and we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, wherever anyone may be listening to this, are upon. Where I am here, that's this beautiful Wajak Noongar Budja here, sacred Noongar land, the deep footprints that go into the earth, the song lines here, the dreaming here, the beautiful elders, male and female, past, present and future. And just calling all of that energy of the earth to be with us, to ground us, to remind us that we are loved, that we are connected to the mother. She gives so much to us, and our role is to be caretakers, carers of country, carers of the land, to look after it, to be in harmony with it as we are fully sustained by it. Thank you, Spirit of the South. We call upon the West and the water, and we just call upon the oceans to just cleanse and wash through mind, body and spirit, really calling in the energy of the feminine, the divine feminine, loving that energy, embracing that energy, calling on the energy of the moon to be in flow, to embrace the spiritual side of life, embrace the rhythms, the cycles, the seasons, and to know that everything's exactly where it's meant to be all the time. Thank you, Spirit of the West. We call upon the North and the energy of fire. And we call upon the energy of transmutation, the energy of fire, the violet flame even, to just cleanse and burn through our spaces, to liberate us of any stress, any confusion, any conversations that are not aligned with our true selves. Really cleansing our space, our place, our mind, so that we can really come into the fire of our own soul, of our own spirit, of our own light within, which is what everything's about. It's all about coming back to that spark, that light within, which is eternal, which never goes out. We have all of these different lifetimes, incarnations, experiences. We take on all of these roles, but at the end of the day, we come from this light, this source, and we return to it. And to not get too attached to the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of the experience the personality might go through, not defending or protecting it too much, knowing that there's something a lot deeper and a lot more still within, and that candle inside never goes out. It's always shining brightly. And there's just this deep willingness to have that candle be lit in others, and I'm sure that's why you created this platform, so that people can experience that light, share that light. I remember when I was a kid growing up and really into the ashram and the Indian tradition, and there was sort of an undertone that it kind of was the only way. I think most traditions and beliefs and systems have this sort of undertone of this is the way, it's kind of the only way, it's the best way. And I bought into that subconsciously, and I was worried about my friends, like, how are they going to reach enlightenment and bliss and peace? And I remember having a reading when I was really young, and this guy said to me, he just channeled it. He said, there are as many ways to God as there are people. So we don't have to save anyone. We don't have to rescue anyone. We can just be the light that we are, knowing that everybody's on that path. And it doesn't matter what they experience in life. They're all going to go back to oneness. They're all going to go back to light.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you, Spirit of the North. We acknowledge the direction of below Mother Earth, above Father Sky, the sacred in between, all the guides who love us unconditionally, to really come around together to whisper what wants to be said from that side. May we really hear it. May we be conduits for it. May anyone who listens to this sense their own spiritual connection. And in the shamanic tradition, there's a lot of talk about that being our spirit guides, our spirit allies, our helpers, which is from the oneness, which is us. It's all us. It's all one.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you. That was beautiful. I really felt that. One Tribe Healing was established. You founded that in 2009 in Fremantle, and you work on both sides of Australia. You do all sorts of healings, sound healings. You do healing retreats, spirit guide journeys, and you train up shamanic healers. Is there anything else to add to that?
That's probably the main thing that I do with my time is mostly train people to become shamanic practitioners, hold deep spaces for people to transform, because it's all about cleansing and clearing yourself out. I think you were intimating before maybe what is the shamanic path, or what does it mean to be a shamanic healer? Is that sort of where you were wanting to go?
Yeah, I find it it's quite a misunderstood area. And what is this path? What is a shamanic healer? How do we incorporate that into our lives?
Look, I think any shamanic healer and any shamanic tradition and any shamanic teacher will probably have a different answer to that.
Yeah.
In essence, the way that I would describe it is that shamanic healing is like being a clear conduit. So the shamanic practitioner is like a bridge between the physical world and the spiritual world, to bring through healing, to bring through transformation, to basically be an anchor, a bridge between both worlds. So the shamanic healer doesn't really do the healing, but they help it to land on this side. So there's a spiritual nature to all things, and there's oneness. And in the shamanic realms, as I talked about before, part of that is spirit guides and spirit helpers, which is the oneness, which is our higher self, which is your client's higher self. That energy is universal, and there are ways that you can connect to that quite easily and powerfully to bring through information. Like, there's a spiritual reason behind everything, behind every ailment, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. There's a beginning point. We are light, we are truth, we are divinity, but there are these things that cloud that and hide that, and then we forget who we are, and we actually think that we're that person or that person, and we're limited, we're constricted, we're carrying around all our ancestral stuff, but it's not true. And it's all about cleansing and clearing. So the shamanic path is a bloody hard one if you're going to be a shamanic healer. It doesn't just happen like that, you know. It's about really cleansing, clearing, purifying and grounding it so that it actually lands here. Because everything is pretty easily diagnosable, like anything. Anyone can sit in front of me and say, I'm going through X, Y, Z, and this guide will tell them exactly why. And they'll just nod their head and go, yep. And I don't know anything about them. And that's fast. That doesn't need to happen slowly. And because it's just energy, it can dissolve, shift, change. And so our pure nature can come through. And there's just so many layers to it. A lot of energy that we take on isn't even ours. Taking on all this ancestral energy, it just goes in. So a lot of healing is getting rid of stuff that's not yours. It's not even your mum's. It's not even your grandmother's. It's not even your great-great-grandfather. It's like it just goes back and it lodges itself all through the chakras. And same with any experiences that we've had. Even just walking down the street, you know, you're picking up different energies, different ideas, different beliefs. They're not all about you are divine, you are source, you are love, you are truth, your light cannot be extinguished. They're often other things like buy this, do that, you're not good as that. You're like comparing yourself. It's about, a lot of our education is about separation rather than oneness. So the shamanic path is one of oneness. So it's about being in tune with nature. It's being in tune with yourself. It's being in tune with everybody in your environment and not being so stressed out. You know, it's sort of trusting more this universal flow of energy, this stream. And anyone walking the shamanic path or any path, it's all about trust. You know, when I'm teaching students and they're doing their final review and they've done all this work, it's all, how much do they trust? How much do they trust that universal energy? How much are they bringing that through in their life? And the more that they can do that, the more that they can really funnel a transformative experience. So anyone can do it, but it does help to have a framework. It does help to know how to ground it, to land it, to protect yourself, all that sort of stuff. So I spent a lot of my time doing that. Transforming people's lives, going through the dark, basically going into the trauma. My life is going into people's traumas.
Yeah, and fun.
And clearing it out so that they can remember who they are.
Okay, beautiful.
It would be so wonderful if we could just have sessions where we're just in our light and bathe in our light and but the reality is people are so full of stuff that you have to clear the stuff before you actually experience who you are, because who you are doesn't need healing. It's divine, it's pure. Sure. It's just getting the stuff out of the way.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm pretty interested in your training. I think you've done some work with Indigenous, travelled Australia, travelled the world.
I've been really lucky and been exposed to a lot of different things and been in a lot of different deep ancestral places and had experiences like that. But my training started lifetimes ago. Like, I didn't just come in here in this lifetime and start. I don't think anyone called to the shamanic path really does that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's lifetimes. But I was lucky that when I was very young, I had experiences where I was exposed to healing, where I sort of learnt that from like really, really young, and had experiences where I met clairvoyants and learned about that life isn't as it seems, And then I had lots and lots of training through the Indian tradition about learning to meditate and stillness and service. That's one thing that is beautiful in Indian tradition is service. Like where you give and the joy of the path of that without receiving anything. I think it's such a shame that a lot of Western spiritual people don't have that tradition. They don't have that experience. And then when I was pretty young, in my early 20s, I met my shamanic teacher called Sue. Beautiful woman, beautiful Australian woman. And her gift was a pure channel to connect to your spirit guides. So I learned to connect to my spirit guides, work with my spirit guides, find out who they are, go on big trips to America, finding out who they are with her, and then learning and training more with those spirit guides. So she helped me make that connection. It just happened that my guides are shamanic teachers, so that's why I got interested in this. So if they were shamanic florists or if they were hairdressers, I'd be probably a shamanic hairdresser or a shamanic florist, but they were shamanic teachers. So I learned by listening. So when I'm teaching, I don't teach, they do. So it's just that they're a core shamanic principles and teachings. And, I've been really lucky to have deep experiences in Indigenous cultures, like really profound, but I don't teach that. Because I only teach what my spirit guides teach me, who are shamanic teachers. They're experts at getting people to connect to their spirit guides. Because what I've learned when you teaching and doing all this stuff is if people are really authentic to their guides, they'll bring through literally like a unique modality. It won't be like anyone else's because everyone's different and everyone's spirit guides are different. So how they work are different. But there are core sort of shamanic themes that all Indigenous cultures follow. And if you settle and sit and listen, you'll learn them too.
Like you said, you've had training, you've been through different traditions growing up, explored different religions and cultures. Was there a time in your life where things were not so good that really kind of perpetuated your journey forward?
My childhood was shocking.
Yeah.
So I needed to heal it. And the path of the healer is usually to do it yourself first. So everything that I learn, I do it myself first. And it's a bit slower, it's a bit more methodical. But when you really learn that and you master it, that's where you get your PhD. Your PhD is not learning in healing, it's not learning things, it's healing yourself. When you sort of really dive in and heal yourself, then you can start to take people on that journey too. So my life necessitated that. I needed to learn how to heal myself because my childhood was a train wreck. It was like anyone who went through my childhood would need a lot of therapy, would need a lot of work to reconnect to the earth, to feel safe to love again, to be capable to be in healthy relationships. It's necessity.
You look like you've got there after a lot of work.
A lot of work.
We're still getting there.
A lot of work and we're still getting there. And it's, what I'm going through is different to what other people go through because I've had my own unique experiences in this lifetime and other lifetimes. But that's where the growth is. If you're on the healing path, if you're a healer, your growth is always, here. And the more that I heal here, the more that I transform here, the more that I love here, then that channel gets bigger. Your capacity to help people gets bigger. Your compassion gets bigger. Your understanding of love gets bigger. But definitely I learned from my shamanic teacher early that, you do learn a lot from doing healing. You're being this conduit, so you learn about life, you learn about how things fit in. When this happens, and you develop this deep compassion, and it's just energy. Like that I think is the key that I want people to know, that it's all just energy. It can shift, it can move. And the beauty is that we're entering a realm where that's faster and faster and faster and faster. So we don't have to be slow in our transformation. We don't have to be methodical. There's too much to transform, and there's too much goodness to jump into.
Let's talk about that speeding up, because that really hit me even the last couple of weeks. It was just like, whoa, it seems to be a lot more instant manifestation, and being really careful to watch the thoughts and actions. And then, I'm quite into the solar flares and the EM radiation hitting the earth, and then it can just be like, boom, it can just be quite heavy. So how do you interpret or process or use the speeding up?
Contextualize it. Like, what do I make of it all?
What are you feeling? How are you going with that flow, which often doesn't feel like a flow?
Sure. Well, I think context is good. Like, so people get a background and understand what's going on. So in the Indian tradition, they talk about ages that go for thousands of years. So we're coming out of Kali Yuga, basically the age of darkness, and we're coming into Satya Yuga. We're in Satya Yuga, the age of light. So we've all come at this point of this massive change point where, like, what took lifetimes can take minutes. And there's this, so we're bringing in the golden age. That's what a lot of people talk about. And that's been known for thousands of years in a lot of traditions, that we are coming into this golden age. So it's a massive speeding up. And when more light comes in, it illumines the shit. I don't know if I probably shouldn't have said that. The stuff that we don't like, to be clear.
Happening. Shit is real.
So for me, where am I at personally on that? Like, I've been following a sort of train, and it's time. I'm at this point in my life, with this knee injury, where I'm stopping and I'm reflecting. Where am I? Who am I? How do I want to be? How do I want to be in the world? How do I want to create the life that I desire? Like, what is my self-worth? What's in all the different chakras in my energy body? So I'm going through a massive change, as I think a lot of people are, of letting go a whole way of being and stepping into the new, which I don't know exactly. So at the moment, I'm dreaming that in big time. I'm really spending a lot of work. I'm taking 30 people on a 6-month journey of that, who've just done a deep ancestral healing thing of, like, what world do you want? How are you going to create that? And there's so much change and shifts that are so big, it can feel foreign. And it's in those foreign moments, it's tempting to go back to the past. And it's really, the challenge for us is just to trust and stay in the present and have the vision, hold the vision of anything you want, but have a vision, dig for it, feel like, what sort of life do you want in every area of your life? And just know that we're going through big changes, and it's continual. It's continual.
Yes.
But we're bringing it in. We're bringing in the golden age. Like, we put our hands up and said, I'll do it. Stand up. You did. You said, I'm going to put this program out. One person, 2 people, 10 people, 100, doesn't matter how many people see it.
No.
It's the fact we're having this conversation that it opens the door for a bit more light to come down. We're doing our bit.
we're doing our bit. It is not always easy.
And neither is birth.
I don't remember that part, but sometimes I think it would have been easier. Yeah, special times. You do a lot of sound healing. Your sound healings are pretty spectacular down at the Beacon Ashram. I think you're still working out of there.
Still there, 13, 14 years later, still there.
Love it. Yeah, some gonging, didgeridoo, voice.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Drums always holding
Drums.
this room. Digi's always been focal. And then there's the sound. But the most important thing is what we call the medicine. What's the intention? What's the energy? So they're very much transmissions. We've just been to Egypt. So what are we doing? We're just flooding the space with Egypt. You know, all the different goddesses and gods and the light that we took on, the ascension energy that we took on. So every week that we're in there, we're bringing through a different medicine. And yeah, the good thing is you can get it online too, and the sessions are great. I listen to them myself because I'm doing it. I'm being a channel for it.
And people can do it at home. Just use that vibration.
And it's actually really good. You know, the recordings, it's amazing what technology can do. You know, just put a device in there and it really captures it. And it's a transmission. And I think, you know, anything's about intention. And when you call on a powerful intention, when you call on the medicine of the eagle, when you call upon the medicine of Isis, when you call upon the medicine of Mother Earth, when you call upon the medicine of the divine masculine, which we just did, you know, you're going to bring powerful energy in, ancestral energy in terms of like bones of the earth stuff, bones of the universe stuff. Yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah, something's going to happen for sure. I learned when I was about 24 just to be very careful of calling in the medicine or the power of Kali. So that's when I was like,
oh, right.
It's like, be prepared, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I say to like students when, you know, one of the things we do is we do ceremony, how important it is. And how, you know, if you want to change your life, I always say to people, do a ceremony. But the ceremony should come from life. You know, it should come from spirit. It should come from God, what's going on. Because if you do something like, well, I just want to be instantly enlightened, and you do a ceremony for that, it's going to be a big fallout.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know, it's going to be powerful. So I totally relate to what you're saying, you know, like be careful what you call in, but be courageous and trust what you call in. Like now's the time to change. Now's not the time to hold on. What's the point? If it's a bit uncomfortable, let it be uncomfortable. You know, my mum's guru says, go all the way. Go all the way. Don't stop halfway. People start and then they stop and it just drags it out, makes it more painful. Go all the way. Transform everything. You know, transform it all. Don't be scared of the dark. Don't be scared of whatever transformation you're going into. Embrace it and go more. Because all that you're getting rid of is stuff that's not you anyway. And anything that's happened, any trauma that anyone's faced, they've survived it. All that's left is the energy of it. It's just the shadow. It's just the imprint. And what's to be scared of? Really? I mean, what's in there? You're going to shift through some stuff. You're going to go up and down. You're going to cry and release. What are you going to get to? You're going to get to your light. You're going to get to divinity. You're going to get to purity. You're going to get to grace. But don't stop halfway. Go the whole way. That's where it's hard, when you dip in and out.
Go the whole way. I'd say would you add support networks or knowing where you can fall back if you need assistance?
You're ready to go the whole way, the universe will support you. It will. You will meet people.
Call that in.
The earth will hold you. Do a ceremony, you know, like empower yourself. It's just, are you willing to start? If you're willing to start, the universe will support you. But if you're going through a healing energy, a healing crisis, yeah, embrace it. Go the whole way. You know, I've got a sore knee, I'm embracing it. Let's learn about healing the physical body. Take me up to the temples. What realm, what guides, what light can heal this instantly? Show me. Now, it's all energy. It's not going to be a torn ligament. It's energy. It's emotional stuff. It's energy from other people's thoughts on my own.
Would you not think it's a torn ligament at all?
Never. It's not. No.
Okay.
It's just not my experience.
Yeah.
And if I work with people, it's not my experience. Very occasionally, I will actually work on something just physically, but people have done the inner work. No, like, I broke my wrist. There's a lot of reasons behind it. I've done this with my knee. There's multiple layers of healing that I'm going through.
Because I've wondered about that emotional connection between pain, or that energetic connection between pain, and how much of it is actually in the physical, which you're saying none of it is.
It's the end result. It's not none of it. Like, your physical pain's real, but it's the end result. And the last place to land is always physical. So if you have a mental problem, an emotional problem, a spiritual problem, like, that'll go on for a while. It takes a while before that lands physically, which is good, right? But it can also take it can be a bit slower to be the last to leave often do the mental, the emotional things. And sometimes there can be a lag. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's like, oh, you do the healing, it's like, oh, my back's better. Oh, it's gone. It's really all energy.
Yeah. I had a crippling hip pain, and it's like 2 years. I was getting to the point of just tears and getting all sorts of therapies, physical therapies for it. And then when my ex-partner passed away, it went away that day. It went away that night. And then it reemerged as the grief began to subside about a year and a half later. And then it was transformed at my yoga training in Bali. And then it has completely disappeared. I need to do some yoga for it. But then I saw that emotional connection. Like, you can't have a crippling hip pain and then someone close to you dies and it disappears. It was like, actually, the right hip is anger at a male. That's how the Louise Hay interpretation of it is. So that was fascinating. That showed me the link between the physical. Yeah. So spirit guides, is there any sorts of methods we can use to tune in, meet our spirit guides?
The traditional route is like a spirit guide journey, where you can listen to a recorded drumming or something like that. On our website, there's a free link there. You can just listen to that and meet your guides that way.
Beautiful.
But really, your guides and you are kind of the same. So like, when you go deep inside, you're connecting to yourself, which is connecting to the oneness, which is connecting to your guides. So you don't need a shamanic journey to connect to your guides. Even I find a really good way for a lot of people is just actually writing. Not like making them use your hands, but not writing, having a question, just writing out the answer, intending it come from your guides, from your higher self, from the oneness energy. Okay. And you can really get all the answers. And I spent the morning with a group of people teaching them how to think. There's the basics. People think they're thinking, but they're not. They're not thinking about their problems. They're worrying about them. They've got their patterns of avoiding them. They're doing all sorts of stuff. They don't actually stop and access the deep knowing. Like all traditions say, the answers are inside. How do you get there? For me, it's the tip of the pen. It's stopping. What do I know? What do I deeply know about this situation? Then you become the creator of your life. You're driving it. You're not responding to it. You're just like, what's the answer here? What's the way? What's my knowing? Which is connecting to your higher self. It's connecting to your guides. It's connecting to all of creation. I really recommend the pen, if you want to connect to your guides, but even if you just want to access your own wisdom and knowing, because unfortunately in the West, we've been robbed of that. So we've been taught to look outside for the answers. We've been taught to look outside for the way. We've been taught that religions know the way, or teachers know the way, or the scientists know the way, or the experts know the way. But the teacher's always within. Where did people get anything? Inside. Someone stopped, sat, and was still, and knew. Any discovery, it all comes from that way. It's a still point where something's revealed. So there's so many ways you can connect to your guides. Just the main thing is to invite them in.
Beautiful.
Not just anything, but you're talking about connecting to guides who love you unconditionally, have mastered unconditional love. The whole point is that they are where you are walking toward and then becoming, which is basically just becoming yourself, becoming the oneness.
Yeah.
And the more that you progress, like when you start out usually doing things, the guides' life will hold you, but they don't want that to be like a crutch for you. They'll give you less and less, and the universe wants us to be empowered. So they'll give you less and less. So you have to go within. You have to find the way. You have to find the answers. You have to find the path.
I like that. Yeah. Never thought about it this way. We've just talked about the human collective and, the speeding up, the way that things are going at the moment. What would you recommend people bring into their own lives to navigate through all these changes, fast changes we're going through collectively, this awakening of humanity, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say stop and pause and don't stress out. Really chill out, really calm down. Don't get bowled over by anything. Really stop, really go inside and listen. Don't listen to the fear of society or of other people. Really know that we're going on a great journey. It's bloody awesome. We are so lucky to be in this monumental, powerful, positive time. And don't focus too much on the crumbling, but focus on what's emerging. Focus on all of that wisdom and light that's inside of you and has always been there. Why be scared of it? For eons of time, we have been scared to be in our light because we've been punished. When you stood in your light, you were, burned at the stake as a witch. When you stood in your light, you were persecuted because the authority didn't like you having power and a voice.
Yeah.
But now we're coming into a time where we can only be in our light. It's harder and harder to not be in our light. So really focus on that. Let the old just crumble away, because it's going to. People are going to be born enlightened. We're going into the age of enlightenment.
Yeah.
Coming into the age of light. So get with the program.
Yeah, get with the program.
Don't resist it.
No, don't resist. I just want to touch lastly on when you said don't focus on the crumbling, it just made me think of the Amazon or the destruction of the environment. I know so many people just focused on this and going through environmental anxiety when we're trying to connect with nature and we see it fall apart. Where do you see nature in this crumbling, the disappearance, so to speak?
Sure. There's so much that we can look at and be distressed by, But as we evolve, there's no and come back to our light and our center, we can't hurt anything else. It's just not our nature. Our nature, when we come to it, is to be caretakers. It's to look after the earth. It's to look after each other. It's to be gentle. It's not to be just using everything up. I believe that there is so much positive change out there. Yes, There's lots of terrible things out there, but there's also a lot of positive change.
Yeah.
And yes, it's going to look bad and ugly, and there's times when it's crippling and heartbreaking. But you do what you can, and you do it in your backyard.
Yeah.
Where there's something going on, you get involved. It might not speed up the change process to focus too much on that. That kind of holds the old paradigm in place when we're going into a new paradigm. The more that you focus on the new paradigm, the more you anchor it here. And the new paradigm is balance. The new paradigm is peace. The new paradigm is being in equilibrium with your environment and nature. And this loving co-creation where you learn, we've been so ripped and robbed of the mother, we don't know how to behave. We're like children who have never been loved.
Yeah.
So the more that we go through this transformation, the more we learn to receive, the more we learn to receive from the mother, the gentler we're going to become, the kinder we're going to become, the more loving we're going to become, the more that we're going to be in balance with our garden, the more we're going to be conscious of the food we eat, the more we're going to be conscious of the packaging that we're buying and how we're going about things. And it's happening bloody quickly. It is.
Nice.
Like when I started this as a kid, and I was, between uni, I worked at the futures market, which is like the stock exchange on steroids, and because I used to start at like 4 a.m. I had to get up to get the whole office going, at work at 5, and middle of the day, I just needed to meditate, man. I just had to, and I would just meditate in the boardroom, wear my surfboard. I often kept there as well. And I was just a freak, like there was no one meditating. I was a vegetarian. There was no vegetarians. You look at it now, everybody's experienced meditation. Everybody knows a little bit about yoga. Everyone has this sense of stress and imbalance and mental health. Like so many laws have changed that embrace our sexuality. There's so much good change.
Yeah, true.
There's so much waking up. That is going to take us in a good direction.
Yeah, beautiful. The new earth. Hey, I thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
We've been like a year trying to tee this up, actually. So it's happened. Yay.
You got me in a moment when I'm not running from one retreat, one trauma camp to the next.
I know. Time for you and your currently out of action knee, but soon to be healed.
Time to, you have, life gives you the space, like I'm often so busy, literally going from one thing to the next. This is the one window I've had in a number of years. And not just that, the knee hurt, I actually have to stop.
Yeah. Wow. Great to talk to you. I've got some great things to mull over there, and these interviews assist me, if nothing else.
Thank you. And anyone listening to this, thank you too.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.